Welcome to Thursday evening racing with Beaconsfield Cycling Club. BRT are the hosts for this 38.4 kilometre criterium race, which follows the exact same route as the Prudential London Classic. The race begins with a 5.4 kilometre lead-in from approximately Tower Bridge. Riders then begin 5.5 kilometre laps with 25 metres of elevation per lap. The course will favour the larger riders as it is largely flat. However, there are a couple of 180-degree bends, so it can be quite technical in places and riders will need to be careful. Tonight sees the return of the team competition, with the blue team being led by Shannon and the yellow team being led by Davis. With 12 minutes to go, Jury is already on the start line warming up. While the riders continue to warm up, let's have a quick look at the standings following Monday night's race. Leading Category A is Blackham, Category B is being led by Smith, and Category C is being led by Tough. The race is about to get underway, so let's go to the start. And the riders are off with the A and B group just moving under the start line. It looks as if a rider has been left behind at the start again. I'll have to check who that is. Joining from the left now are the C and D groups. On course now with Shannon at 420 odd watts. I don't think he can sustain that pace for too long though. He's beginning to settle already. It does look as if this small group is getting strung out quite quickly, so they will need to be careful. O'Brien in the same group as Shannon at 360 watts, heartbeat about 10 beats per minute lower though. I can also just see Empson, Dames, Jury, all pushing similar levels. The race has been running for just over a minute, should begin to settle shortly. With the front group now and Campbell, it's great to see that he's made it past the start. Also in this group, Lancia and Blackham. Campbell currently 15th out of 111 riders. If he can hold that, it will be amazing. The riders beginning to form into groups now, with this group some 10 seconds behind the leading group and 20 seconds ahead of the group behind them. Jury with an FTP of around 198 watts is pushing well above that, and as the smallest and lightest rider in the race tonight, it will be interesting to see how well she does. Some 16 seconds behind Jury, a small group with Empson, O'Brien and Shannon has formed. These riders should work well together, but they need to keep an eye on Stoneham, who is rising rapidly through the ranks and is only 24 seconds behind them at this stage. Collier and May just entering Trafalgar Square, some 11 seconds behind Stoneham and Taft. Two pairs of riders that may well end up staying close to each other. 100 metres further up the course, almost 7 minutes into the race, we have Morton pushing hard to stay in contention with this group. And just behind Morton we have a first glimpse of Littlewood and someone called T.BCC. Not sure if that is a BCC rider or not. I will need to find out. In 82nd position at the moment. Littlewood needs to make certain he doesn't fall much further back than this, but he is a competent Cat C rider. 1 minute further back we have Telford. Looks as if he's riding all by himself. No, there is a small group just behind him. Perhaps he is trying an attack. Yes, it looks like it. He is pushing hard. However, I can't see that he's going to maintain a distance in front of this group of 7 riders, which also has one of our Category D riders, Lord. It looks as if Morton's efforts have paid off, as he has now caught up with Collier and May at 6.6 kilometres into the race. Riders will now be on the second of 6 laps. Roughly 28 seconds ahead, the pairing of Taft and Stoneham in this group of 20 riders seems to be working quite well. At this stage I'm not quite sure who I would predict to win, but let's see what happens a little later on. At 8.5 kilometres into the race, Shannon, O'Brien and Empson riding well together as three A-team representatives. They will be very aware that Jury and Campbell are 1 minute 14 seconds ahead of them. A group of 4 riders, 1.5 minutes behind the leading group, including Campbell and Jury, which is an interesting combination as Campbell is one of the largest riders riding today and Jury is one of the smallest. Theoretically, Campbell should have the advantage, but I would not underestimate the amount of power or watts per kilo that Jury can push when needed. This is the front of the race at kilometre 11 and 14 minutes. Davis looking fairly comfortable at this stage, along with him Blackham and Lancia. Blackham and Lancia, of course, are Category A riders, with Blackham having been recently promoted. Davis is a Category B rider, so he will do well to keep up with this group. Let's see what happens a little later on. Campbell and Jury need to be careful, as this group, which contains Empson, O'Brien and Shannon, have begun to close the gap, only ever so slightly, but it is happening. And surprisingly, they've also been joined by Taff and Stoneham. I didn't expect to see that. Stoneham is riding well at just 4 beats short of his maximum average heart rate. Further back in the race, another surprise attack from Telford, having pulled 11 seconds ahead of Lord. Still not sure this is a great strategy. Maybe he sees Littlewood and T.BCC 2 minutes ahead and thinks he can possibly catch them. I hope so. Lord, on the other hand, is looking much more comfortable in a small group here. Back at the front of the race, the leading group, Lancia and Blackham, still looking fairly comfortable at 17.3 kilometres into the race. 23 minutes into the race, Jury and Campbell seem to be working well together in this group of 4. The chasing group of Empson, O'Brien and Shannon seems to have gained a few seconds. At 19.5 kilometres, Campbell and Jury seem to be riding well together at a fairly consistent pace, but they need to be really careful now. A quick update on Telford's solo attack. He is still pulling away at 19 seconds ahead of the chasing group. Back at the front of the race with Blackham and Davis, and I've just heard the unfortunate news that Lancia has crashed going around one of the 180-degree bends. He went wide and took out 3 other riders with him. Let's hope he's okay. Littlewood and T.BCC still together at 18 kilometres, riding well. Let's see if they can keep this up. Oh, this is unfortunate. Stoneham seems to have dropped off the group he was riding with. Shannon and Co are now 7 seconds ahead. But it also looks as if Taff is dropping off that same group as well, so maybe the 2 of them can ride together. This perhaps is one of the most significant moves in the race so far, with Empson, Shannon and O'Brien continuing to close the gap on Jury and Campbell, which is now down to 30 seconds. Back with the leading group, including Blackham and Davis, pushing up this hill, just passing or just about to catch Littlewood and T.BCC. Towards the back of the field at kilometre 19 with Lord. It looks as if she's beginning to close the gap on Telford, dropped now to 13 seconds. And there he is. He seems to be in isolation. I'm not sure how long he can keep this pace up. Back with Campbell and Jury, and the chasing group is now only 19 seconds behind them. They are going to be caught. I'm just wondering what their strategy is at this stage of the race, with only 14 kilometres remaining. Another surprise at kilometre 24 is to see Taff riding in isolation. Not quite sure what he's thinking, but Stoneham is only 7 seconds behind. Probably the best strategy is to drop back and ride with him. And here is Stoneham with Taff clearly visible on the road ahead. I don't think it will be long before these 2 riders come together. As predicted, Jury and Campbell are about to be caught by the chasing group of Empson, O'Brien and Shannon. What a fantastic move this has been, and a huge effort on their part. Team managers will be looking closely at some of these performances today. Tuff and Stoneham are now riding together. These riders are looking tired. I expect these two to stay together until the end. Back at the front of the race, the leading group now down to about 10 riders, still with Blackham and Davis as they enter the final part of this race. Only one lap left to go. Telford's solo attack has failed. Lord is now 20 seconds ahead of him. The final 1.5 kilometres of the race to go, with Davis at 175 beats per minute. I think he may well need an ambulance if he keeps this up. I'm surprised he is still with this group, but all credit to him for keeping up. The riders just passing the Flamme Rouge on their left as they enter for the last time this 180-degree bend. And there's Blackham up on the pavement. I can't believe it. Just what does he think he's doing? I think there'll be a commissaire's inquiry after this. Blackham at 760 watts, an unbelievable performance. And there it is, the finish line ahead. Blackham beginning to wind it up at 10.4 watts per kilo. Can he hold on? He's leading it out. No, and I think he's just going to cross the line in 5th position, it looks like. Well done though, what a fantastic effort on his part. And that's Davis crossing the line some 15 seconds behind Blackham. 6 BCC riders in this group, 3 kilometres from the end. And I can't believe what I'm seeing right now, but Empson is attacking. It may be uphill, but I don't think he can last for 3,000 metres. This is an unbelievably bold move. And I don't think it's worked. Power is coming off. The road has flattened out. The other riders will catch him. Quite why he thought he could outsprint the peloton at this stage, I'm not sure. Perhaps it's something we can ask him later. That sudden acceleration from Empson seems to have caused problems further back, and Shannon is now beginning to drop off, 4 seconds behind this group. And there he is. He can see the group disappearing in the distance. His race is virtually over. Looks like this is going to be another bunch sprint finish. Jury sitting at the back of this pack. Riders beginning to wind it up. O'Brien looks around, that's going to cost him a place. Jury moves up, overtakes Campbell and O'Brien and crosses the line, I think just behind Empson. Looking at the official results, Empson and Jury cross the line in the same time, and Campbell and O'Brien do the same 1 second later. Shannon crosses the line 1 minute later. Littlewood and T.BCC still riding together, gaining rapidly on Morton. It is possible they could catch him within the 4 kilometres left remaining in this race, but they're going to have to push very hard. We join May and Collier entering Trafalgar Square. Collier looks as if he's attempting to attack. Yes, he is. He's pulling away slightly, but I don't think May will let that go lightly. Let's see what happens. May's 9 metres behind as the riders approach the Flamme Rouge on the left. It looks as if May is closing the gap. Yes, he is. Oh, I'm not quite sure what happened there, but Collier just disappeared, vanished. Maybe May used some kind of special power-up that he has. And somehow, as May approaches the finish, Collier's reappeared behind him, but 8 seconds back. Not quite sure how that works, but perhaps another steward's inquiry. And what a great effort from Littlewood. That is Morton just ahead of him. And not only has he caught Morton, but he has distanced himself from T.BCC, who is now 6 seconds behind. 1 kilometre to go. There is the Flamme Rouge just ahead. At 1 hour and 3 minutes approximately, riding at 44 kilometres per hour, Littlewood is just about to cross the finish line, and there he goes. Lord follows Littlewood by 3 minutes, sprinting towards the finish, 7 watts per kilo. What a great performance. And now some 2.5 minutes of Telford. And we join Telford for his sprint to the line as he crosses the finish in 1 hour 9 minutes. Hope you all enjoyed this evening's racing. Next race is on Monday evening.